So, welcome to the Weekly Hijack.
Hi, everyone.
And
Hello.
Jack. Okay, folks. So this was... Actually, did you get your name of this episode?
Heart of Gold.
Heart of Gold, that's right. This is Once Upon a Time edition. What did we think of this episode, folks?
That is a wicked wet retcon.
I would be very interested in knowing at what point the writers decided to do that. Because it's not one of those that you look and go, oh, and they've done it this whole time. You look at it and go, yeah, I don't know.
Well, the timing is very interesting. Natasha, did you say you remembered that? Because, yeah, the smoke, when she died, they did have that weird smoke thing that came and...
Yeah, I'd totally forgotten about it, but...
Yeah, when you...
At least we knew she'd come... Well, you should have guessed she'd come back, but I'd totally forgotten.
That happened like when she died, unless of smoke vapor thing, which usually means something. Smoke vapors are always very significant in the show.
And at least from the beginning of the second half, Regina had that dream about protecting Robin from something. She thought it was herself, but she thought she was also protecting. And one sister thing, you could read into that. So at least for the second half of the season, I think they assumed it.
Well, I think the timing is very interesting because... If I remember right, the season finale last year, it was like, they killed off the Wicked Witch like an episode earlier, or it wasn't like right away. I mean, like it was in the finale,
and then you had the time,
and then they did the time jump. So it would have been like, it would have happened like right after that. So it's not like she hung around as a vapor in Storybrooke for a long time. It was relatively recently after that she put her plan into effect. And her plan does kind of make sense.
No, I have to say, wherever they came up with it, it's fiendishly clever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure I buy... I don't know that there was enough clues to make the audience be like, oh! But I do think that having pulled the trigger is pretty clever.
That actress is a great actress.
Oh, I thought that same thing.
Whole scene.
When she was doing that whole scene with Gold, I was like... I'm glad they brought this lady back, because she's fantastic. You could get rid of all these other three ladies. Maleficent is okay. I like Maleficent. The other two are worthless.
I was thinking, same thing. So much more villainous than those three of them had been this whole time.
She has a backstory. The whole envy thing works in Once Upon a Time really well. There's a lot of family issues and whatever. So I think it certainly, bringing her back was a strong move. I don't know. Again, it's like, what? You feel like until this episode, there was, that I can remember, no remote hint.
See, and what I was thinking...
Now, maybe there is, but this is episode 18 of the next season after they killed her. I mean, if you're going to do this, you really should have had a few things.
And that's where I was watching so they were doing the flashback, okay? Not the one in Oz.
The double flashback.
And my problem with the flashbacks has recently been, and I think this has been for a long time, has been the fact that the flashbacks, you never have a flashback that you go, why are they doing this? Why does this flashback have anything to do with this? And then at the end it ties together and you're like, oh, wow, that's cool. They're always like flashbacks where you're like, oh, I know where this is going, just along with the same thing. And had they used some of the flashbacks to just sprinkle parts of this Maid Marian thing in there somehow, or keep the Wicked Witch in the story in some way. I mean, she's been gone I didn't remember any of that stuff about her. I mean,
it's been almost a whole season.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Well, I guess the thinking could be, I'll play writer's advocate here a little bit. The thinking could be that, do you really need... I mean, if you had planted some thoughts about Wicked Witch and things like that, would it have telegraphed what they were going to do? I mean, if you want to keep it a surprise reveal, then you just tell just enough. And we knew... I mean, the way that it aligns things up in terms of... Because it always felt weird that Robin and Marian just had this completely, cold relationship all of a sudden. They weren't connecting. And I guess you could say... the time would make a difference and he had fallen in love again and all that. But I don't know. Just for me, I always wondered. It's like why don't they just kind of rekindle what they have?
I do think it is technically possible they thought of it way back at the end of last season. The problem is once has a habit of flipping things and very quickly from one thing to another.
True.
And I think the problem is even if they had planned it, it would have been beneficial, I think, to have a couple clues look back simply because they all can do is say, this potion fixed this. Oh, now it doesn't. This sort of back and forth.
For me, I always go to... No, I always think of the Mad-Eye Moody thing, where there was always something a little suspicious, but it kind of played into his character. But then when they said it was him, you were able to go back, and I think they even did, and went back and said, oh, look at this, and this, and you're like, oh, I should have caught that.
Wait. Maybe I'm not following who you're talking about.
Harry Potter 4.
Oh, okay.
Because
he was
actually...
Yeah, I just revealed that I don't know Harry Potter knowledge. I'm sorry.
What? Because he was...
It was
Crouch's son.
You're spoiling it.
It was David Tennant, right? The whole time.
Yeah, it was David Tennant the whole time.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah, it's like that's what I look at as one of those reveal things. J.K. Rowling always did these little things.
You shouldn't be able to guess necessarily, but you should be able to look back and say, okay. And again, my remembrance is second. We haven't even seen. When was the last time we saw Robin Hood? Was it at the end of that season?
No,
she got ice because she got frozen. So the Wicked Witch got frozen by the Ice Queen and almost died.
Oh yeah, that's true.
By heart, yeah.
I guess that's basically so they'd keep her out of that.
So apparently, Regina can't recognize her sister's own heart, which was apparently not at all black at the time.
Did she take her
She
heart
took it
out?
out so she didn't freeze her heart. Yeah, remember? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah.
Well, apparently whatever this magic crystal thing is, it hides her appearance, continues it even when she's not, awake. So maybe it would disguise her heart too.
I mean, that would have been a perfect place to say, this is kind of,
Yeah.
But
that's true. That would have been an interesting breadcrumb, yeah.
And they could have gone, one of those things where they show it was her, and then they go, quick flash of these tiny little things that you go, oh. But it just to me seemed like they thought of this pretty late in the game.
I did think though once they after they pulled the trigger, the play, the way Rebecca made it, played it, the way it plays into the whole storyline. I mean, it works really well after the fact.
Plan. No, it's not a bad plan, but I don't think it was.
And it's kind of neat. I mean, it's interesting, because this is Rumpelstiltskin has these other people he's using. Well, then basically.
He's being used the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, which is interesting. You got like every bad guy they've had except Peter Pan running around.
Well, and see.
And Regina's mom.
Oh, that's true.
But it also goes to looking at
Jafar. We haven't seen Jafar yet.
That'd be awesome.
Regina could have her happy ending without rewriting things. Still, though. Just like Ursula ended up with her happy ending.
That's true.
It did solve the problem of the problem of Marion.
Which I'm glad with because it was. Yeah. I don't like that. Like having to
that was a very
one
awkward
marriage to save another. I mean, that's just.
It was sad.
It wasn't, and it wasn't very. What it reminded me of is in the first season when you had Charming and Snow, or their other Mary Margaret and David. When they didn't know who each other were, but were kept getting drawn to each other, and you had that same kind of squeamish, but they're supposed to be together, but he's supposedly married. Oh, he's really not. It was very similar along those lines.
Unfortunate, you just you shouldn't be like this.
Because it does wherever they plan it, it fits really well. And then because then last season when Marion showed up, and you just felt horrible for Regina. For having Selena be the one to cause that on purpose is that's kind of clever.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting. I'm sure there's going to be some interview come out with the creators tomorrow or sometime this week. Be yes, we had this in mind for a long time, and I'll be interested to see if they have some evidence for it and. They probably will have an explanation for why they didn't put it in the episode.
It is unfortunate that we've said Once Upon a Time has some of those soap opera-y sort of thing. And this is sort of and the evil twin comes back, sort of
it's
vibe. And that's the.
true.
I mean, I think that's the problem. Even if they had Planet,
yeah,
they're not consistent enough.
and we've kind of lost some of their trust. Or they've lost some of our trust, I should say, in that. Yeah, because they've pulled weird things like this.
Things recently.
But but the second half of the season, I think, as there's a lot of interesting things playing. It almost seems too many. I mean, there's a lot of different.
Yeah, this next episode is like
plans and turning the same
And then you
evil.
look at the preview for the next episode, and you're like,
what does that have to do with any of this?
it's a whole different storyline. I'm like, why can't we stick to the one we were on?
I guess maybe this is like what's going. Well, no, Regina was in the preview.
We only have. I mean,
So, I don't know.
We only have like 5 more episodes, don't we? I mean, if it's 18 and goes to 23, 24,
Something like that.
I think it was 18.
Yeah, I think it's probably 22.
So
yeah, we're getting near the end. I mean, you knew eventually we were going to have like a Cruella episode.
Oh yeah, you would have to. Otherwise, what's the purpose of her being there?
You're right.
There is no purpose for her.
I'm hopeful that this will pay off Cruella's
Existence.
yes.
I mean,
that's all. I can't even process it. I mean, the whole Robin Hood backstory thing. Like, okay, so that's how I became Robin Hood, but it's just there.
Had we ever heard about Will's sister before?
I cannot remember.
I don't remember that. That seemed all new. So that was interesting.
Which is interesting because he's hung up on that, and then later on he pulls his own heart out in Wonderland to get over a Red Queen lady.
Yeah, which apparently this happened before he even met her. Yeah.
So that's all I've got.
That's all. I mean, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more I'm sure we could talk about. That was the main thing. I'm watching that scene and thinking, what? Which I guess worked on that level. It's like, I just have to reinterpret everything.
Yeah.
Which on that, it's kind of, it's a bold move.
It is a very bold move. I mean, and I always think it's always entertaining when they do a complete rewrite the game in the middle of a story arc.
Yeah.
I mean, not even at the end of a story arc, kind of like right in the middle of it.
And then she did play that.
Except it's not a story arc because next week they're going to a different story.
Well, I mean, like,
I'll just be interested. They have a lot of, they have trying to get the author, trying to turn Emma bad, Maleficent's child. I'm trying to figure out how are these all going to kind of flow together, or are they going to just be kind of a mess?
yeah.
And there's a possibility of them all flowing together.
Again, I do say
it'll be a mess.
the one benefit is at least it's not one note like the Neverland arc.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have them be juggling all this stuff than just wandering around on the same note forever.
I'll take that. That is true. This does seem like this really does feel like a separate season from the Ice Queen section, not the second half. I mean, they really structure it very much.
Yeah,
as 2 separate halves in many ways. I mean, you had some of the happy ending thing that led into this, but
yeah, it is hard to think of it as the same season. It's like something else. But I think they really kind of like the way some cable shows work like that. So,
well, I mean, there are leftover things. We got they introduced Lily and the Ice Queen because she introduced the whole. So they have made these tags between.
Random thought. I thought afterwards, why in the world would anyone name their daughter Lilith?
Lilith's a horrible name.
I mean, seriously.
I would name my kid off an evil version of Eve.
Mythological, yeah.
Would you name your kid Zelina?
In a fantasy land, possibly.
Okay.
But in our world, I mean, unless...
The only other Lilith I know in real life was Fraser's wife.
Yeah.
That's why they named her that, I think.
Oh, man. Okay.
All right. That's it.
Once Upon a Time edition. Thank you for listening to us kind of... Our brains exploded and trying to put the pieces back together.
All right. Adios.
Good night.
Thank you.